Simon Told Helen wins a half length. Zach Manelli second.
Welcome to Greyhound Gossip.
Peaky Blinders start cheering for Tommy Shelby wins the WA Sprint Championship final.
Featuring Peter O'Neill and Leia Ernest.
Mozza moves up to Mermaid Manelli. Fab's Gem 3 deep. Here comes Fab's Gem.
Hard Style Rico by 5 lengths to Simon Told Helen. Third Tommy Shelby.
This segment is dedicated to the discussion and promotion of greyhound racing.
Cindy's Oliver, Rockstar Patriot, Paul Stewart, back-to-back with Rockstar Patriot in the Galaxy.
Handsome Prince, a Boulder Clear, the former Tasmanian. Handsome Prince has won the $1 million chase.
And a very good morning, everyone. Tuned into Greyhound Gossip, and a very good morning to you, Peter O'Neill.
Good morning, Leia. Good morning, everyone. Big weekend it was of greyhound racing, both Friday and Saturday night at Cannington. And we also had a big weekend across on the East Coast. Of course, Friday night we saw the WA bred greyhound in Big Energy narrowly defeated by Transponder in the Adelaide Cup, the Group 1 over there for Jason Thompson. So that was a big win and a really good run by Big Energy, who's really run some exceptional times in Victoria and took that form to Adelaide. And then we saw the semi-finals with a few upsets in the making there on Friday night at Wentworth Park, Leia.
Yes, indeed, and we were cheering on for Sage Tenniel here in WA. She ran fourth, but I know that Cody and Brittany were still very proud of her efforts and where she's managed to take them on this ride, and I don't think that's the last we'll see of Sage Tenniel as well, Pete.
I don't think so, that's for sure. And there's some big races coming up both here in Western Australia with the Group 2 All-Stars, and then you've got the Melbourne Carnival as well, just around the corner. Just like to send out a shout-out to Barry McPherson. He broke his leg last week. He's not in the best of ways. So, Barry, we're thinking of you and hope you can get back up on your feet shortly, and hopefully you're not in too much pain. A man that might have been in a little bit of pain prior to the semi-finals of the $1 Million Chase, but he was up and about afterwards, was Matty Jackson. It was a big week for Matt, and he has a finalist in the $1 Million Chase, and he's about to join Leia and I on Greyhound Gossip. Matt, good morning to you, and what a weekend it was for you.
Yeah, good morning to you, Pete, and also to Leia. Yeah, it was quite a roller coaster week as far as emotions were concerned. Obviously, One Hot Bandit, Greyhound, I've got a small little share in. Missed out on automatically qualifying through the city qualifiers when arguably he probably should have won that race. He had no luck, so it was a flattening feeling after that. But then to see him as a second reserve, I guess you get that little bit of excitement and hope that he could get a start, and then to see him actually get a start and then end up with what turned out to be a really good draw, and then to go on and win that semi-final, it sort of went from boiled lollies to chocolates. It's normally going the other way around. So I'm certainly going to enjoy this week. I can't wait for Friday night.
I want to ask you, well, first of all, it was a strange night because we saw 3 reserves actually win their semi-finals and go through to next week's final. So that's one point. The other point is I get nervous when I call one of my own greyhounds running in a maiden. So what's it like when you've got the opportunity to run for $1 million?
I'll be able to let you know that question next week. As a rule, I generally don't get nervous before I call races, whether it's my own dog or big races. Normally it's more just the excitement of what can happen. So your nerves haven't ever come into my calling, but I'm sure come Friday night there'll be a few there, but just a matter of, as you know, Pete, calling big races, you just try to stick to the routine pre-race as much as you can, and then hopefully it'll all go well. But I'm sure there'll be a few nerves there, no doubt, come Friday night when they head to the boxes, and that anticipation from the crowd builds, but also knowing that you're a chance of winning a $1 million race. I'm sure I'll get a few nerves prior to the race, but hopefully once the green light switches on, I'll go back into race caller mode and it'll all go well.
Yeah. How did you get into the Bandit? And of course, you've had success with the Punters HQ before, so you've called these Group 1s in that you've had runners in before, so it's probably second nature for you.
Yeah, I got into the ownership group pretty much courtesy of She's a Pearl, really, with obviously good friends of mine, Mark Olness, Jace Adams, Jace Lincoln, all involved in her, and obviously with what she was able to do at the start of last year, winning the Easter egg and $1 Million Chase. I, as I said to Joe the other night, I jumped on the bandwagon of her when she won those 2 big races, and went and celebrated with the ownership group. So that was the way I got involved with Punters HQ, meeting Joe and Craig and a lot of the other owners. So then when opportunities did come up post Pearl winning those races, there was always offers to go in. So kind of got lucky there. I was able to get into some nice dogs. Tiger Jack's one that springs to mind, who we haven't had a lot of luck with, but he's got plenty of talent. Good odds Emma, one that you were able to get into as well, Pete. We had a lot of luck with her winning, of course, the Megastar, and then Joe was getting out of the syndication business, but he had one last greyhound to syndicate, and it was One Hot Bandit, and I was lucky in that Joe wanted to give his best owners that he'd had for the longest time the opportunity to go in, and Jace Lincoln was one of those, and Jace was kind enough to ask if I wanted to join into his little group and come along for the ride with One Hot Bandit. So that's how I got involved in him, and yeah, it's been a lot of fun so far. I must admit I didn't think he would be quick enough early to make a $1 million chase grand final, and whether he can win it, I'm not entirely sure, but just to get there and be a chance is a massive thrill, and if he wins, I don't think I'll ever have a bigger thrill in racing for the rest of my life.
Well, we'll have our fingers crossed for you, Matt. He's drawn box 7 here in the final. What are your thoughts, sandwich between Tinker Norm and Yachi Bale?
Yeah, well, it was. I can't be disappointed with the box because I was the one who actually drew it out on Friday night. So when I did get box 7, I said to someone, I really do hope Yachi Bale draws in box 8 because I know he probably lacks a little bit of early speed. And then when I've gone back the last couple of days and looked at Tinker Norm's replays as well, he doesn't jump brilliantly either. So I'm just hoping that Bandit can step cleanly enough. And if he can do that, I think he might be able to land in front of the 6 and the 8. And then from there, he's going to get his chance because he will steer away from those closer to the rail. So my hope going to the first turn is that JSJ and Postman Pat do come together a few times, bump each other, cost themselves momentum, and then the Bandit can step clean and then just sweep around them, find the front end of the back, and then put 10 or 12 on them would be nice.
Yes, JSJ and Postman Pat drawn beside them on the inside, the two quickest semi-final runners. Let's go through the board here with Tab Touch. We've got the markets in box 1, Cumbria Kid at 34, 2 JSJ 260, 3 Postman Pat 234, Bella Una at 41 alongside the 5 Has Ability, 6 Tinker Norm at $7, 7 One Hot Bandit at $9, and at Yachi Bale $11 with the reserve runners of Magistrate and Tom Caping. Do you think that this market is pretty accurate going into the final, Matt?
Yeah, I do. I think Postman Pat off what he's done since he's come across from New Zealand is a deserving favourite, but JSJ has to be right up there with what he was able to do on Friday night, running the clear fastest semi-final time. So I think they're the two deserving favourites, and of course drawn closer to the inside is a big plus. I think the one that's overs there is Cumbria Kid, drawn in box number 1. He's going to doesn't have a lot of early speed, but he's going to get a beautiful run through behind them at the first corner. So if there is any trouble, and he's right behind them, I think at around $34, I think you just mentioned there that he's probably over the odds. But such a tricky race because there's not an express pace element to the race, which is unusual for these sort of heat and final type series. Is normally you'll get 3 or 4 leaders who in their semis or heats go straight to the front and then lead all the way. But this is a different scenario. There's a lot of very strong greyhounds in the race, so that run to the first corner is going to be so vital, and it could just pan out that if JSJ and Postman Pat go straight to the front, have both unimpeded runs, they might be too fast for the rest of them. But like I mentioned, if they do get themselves into a bit of trouble, it opens the race right up with so many strong greyhounds in it.
We're talking with leading Australian broadcaster Matt Jackson, who owns One Hot Bandit, and he'll be calling the $1 million chase on Friday night at Wentworth Park, and in with a real chance. And we wish you all the best of luck. But not only the $1 million chase, it's a massive night for greyhound racing at Wentworth Park on Friday, Matt. You have the Group 2 Sydney Cup, where Zipping Vanessa's the $1.65 favourite, and there's some other races on the program, including the Masters, where there's a lot of prize money on offer.
Yeah, it's one of the great nights now on the Greyhound racing calendar. Of course, with the $100,000 Masters Meteor to go along with the $1 million chase. You've got the $1 million chase consolation as well. The maiden series, the $1 million chase maiden series, the Young Star. It's a night full of outstanding races, and the Young Star's a cracking race. It might arguably be the race of the night. So much speed to that race, and in greyhounds, I'm sure we'll be talking about in a few months' time that might be leading chances in the Golden Easter egg come next year. But yeah, it's going to be an absolute beauty. And then, of course, off track we've got Shannon Knoll performing for Kleinmont. So it's going to be a big night on Friday night, and of course a massive weekend here in Sydney with the Everest on Saturday. So hopefully we can get a big crowd on Friday night and cheer on hopefully the Bandit to win.
Well, we'll be cheering on for you, Matt. And just one quick question before you go. I noticed that you called the semi-finals on Friday for the $1 million chase, then quick back up to call the 8 heats of the Young Stars the next day. How are the vocal cords feeling, and what are you going to be doing in preparation for the big one on the weekend?
Yeah, no, the vocals are okay. My wife, she was away on the weekend for a hens party, and she messaged me on Saturday night saying that she'd lost her voice. So I was like, maybe you can stay away for the rest of the week because I don't want to be losing mine come Friday. But it'll be a pretty stock standard week for mine. Look after kids. I'll do a meeting tonight from Maitland. I'll do Gosford tomorrow night, then have a couple of days off and go in fresh on Friday night. But Friday I'll most likely go out and have a round of golf beforehand, and then just business as usual once I get to Wenning on Friday.
Well, not much chatting involved in golf there. So, Matt, we wish you the best of luck, and thank you for coming on the show this morning. And we'll definitely be tuning in here on TAB Radio to listen to all the action this weekend in Wentworth Park.
Yeah, can't wait. It's going to be a massive night on Friday, and thanks for having me on.
Wonderful. Matt
Good
Jackson.
Matty Jackson. Yeah, Matty Jackson joining us, Leia. Sorry for cutting in there. He's a great broadcaster, does a really good job at the way he describes the events, and I hope he can keep the nerves together. And imagine if one hot bandit lands on the arm like he's describing, calling, knowing that there's $1 million prize money on offer at the end of it. You'd be thinking, what would you do if you're the broadcaster? Would you be thinking of what you're going to spend it on if he was 10 lengths clear down the back straight?
Oh, Pete, I think I would be tongue-tied and I wouldn't be able to call the race, and this is why I'm not a race caller.
Oh, well, it'll be exciting, and good luck to Matt and also Joe and all the connections, Jason Lincoln and the team there on Friday night. Let's continue on. While it might not have been $1 million prize money, it was a maiden, and there were some very excited and loud owners on course on Saturday night, Leia, when Erasmus Duke won the Dream Chasers Syndicate, their first victory. And Lewis Clay's done a wonderful job on the social media and keeping them up to date with everything that's gone on with this young greyhound that's yet to turn 2 years of age, a son of Tommy Shelby. Tommy Shelby's progeny trifectoring the race. Let's spit that out. First, second and third, and Erasmus Duke his first win, and Lewis has been good enough to join us this morning. Lewis, congratulations. That would have been a big thrill for you and especially the owners there on Saturday night.
Thank you. Yeah, no, it was good for the owners. I think most importantly they've been loyal and they've been coming down every race. So yeah, it was good to see it break through. And I wasn't actually on the track, but from what I've heard, there was some pretty big roars.
One of the things that I've enjoyed and appreciated what you have done, because I'm in the group myself, is the fact that you've kept the owners and they're just wanting more information, and you've been able to keep them on the ride and share everything about the greyhound leading up to before it started racing and then every week leading up to its races.
Yeah, I think that's what's most important, owners, and they just want to know how the dog's going and what he's doing and how he is. So I just tried to keep him up to date, and I was probably a little bit slack at the start. And obviously, I don't know if you've heard this week, I've started voice messages, and I'm going to be doing it weekly. Kind of got that from the horses. They do that before they race each time. So I thought, why not myself start it? I'm going to do it for all my owners, for all the dogs I've got in my kennel. So no, it's good to keep them all informed and hear how the dogs are going.
Well, I know people in the group chat, or the group page, I should say, really appreciate it. Lewis, I had to listen to the one you sent just before he raced on the weekend, and it was only about 18 seconds, but you said, I would be surprised if he didn't finish top 4, and he did better than that. He actually won, so I think the owners really appreciate that. But speaking of posts in the group chat, there's one that owner Crystal posted, and she was so excited. You would have seen it, but just for the listeners, I'll read out what she said. She went, OMG, about 1,000 exclamation marks. What a brilliant run by Jukey Boy. I think we had a heart attack in the lounge room. The on-track poo must have helped a bit. Now, I actually have had this question asked to me, Lewis, and I'm not a trainer, but in your professional opinion, if a greyhound does a poo before they race, a lot of people say, it's lost a couple of kilos, so I think that would help them run. Do you think that makes a difference at all?
No, I think it's all a myth, but how often does it happen? It probably happens more often than not, so whether it's true or not, I'm not sure, but I think it's a myth. So. But obviously worked on Saturday night.
Yeah, I'm not sure where the next question goes after that one, Lewis, for you. But just back to the information. I'm an owner, and I just love, when I get information from the trainer about the greyhounds or the horses that I'm involved with. Do you think, and you're starting to do it, I believe, and I'd be interested in your thoughts, do you think it's important for the trainers to be able to give that information out to the owners, considering they're the ones that put the money up in front, to be able to give you a greyhound and put the money into the sport, and then you get the opportunity to prepare it for them?
Yeah, I think it is. Obviously, I've just started, so it's going to be all new to me and stuff like that. I haven't probably been the best at it, but it is. I think it's perfect for the owners as well, and I kind of do a little bit of form as well, so I'm able to probably tip a couple every now and again and say I think he's a good chance tonight, and if not, we're probably. Most trainers have got an idea of where their dog's at and if they've got a good chance. But just to give them that information as well, some owners like a bet, so that's also one good aspect. But yeah, just to give them information of how the dog's travelling at home as well is pretty good, because we see little things that the punters don't, and how they're feeling and what they're doing is important to race night.
And many of these owners are first-time owners, so do you find that they're asking a lot of questions similar to what Leia just asked that you're not used to?
Yeah, there's been some wacky questions come my way, but it is interesting hearing them, and I've always got an answer for them, so I can put them in the right direction of what they're after. But yeah, no, there is some different questions that come my way.
He's a good chaser, this boy, as the Tommy Shelby pups are, but he'd been placed 3 of 8 prior to this. He hadn't had a lot of luck, but he got that clear running the other night, and he showed that he's got a lot of ability.
Yeah, he's come a long way. He went early doors, he trialled up pretty well, and then he had a bit of a weird stage, and he actually turned around at trials one day. He took 2 steps and come back to me. And I thought, oh no, what have we got here? But then, ever since then, he's been a different dog, and he started chasing, and he's got better and better every race. And you can see that with the way he's running. And he doesn't have the perfect early speed, but he's always up there close, and he puts a good run down the back, and he does weaken a little bit towards the end. So, it's always just getting a bit of luck in running, but he obviously got that on Saturday night, pushed through really well on that first corner. And then, we'll just see where we go from here. But, he's getting better and better each run. So I actually expect him to get better when he goes to Mandurah.
Now, you must, the owners are going to be very excited when they receive their first check, large check that comes in later this week. But you're also going to have to be able to handle the expectations of the owners, because he now steps up into the races for him like a novice, and they can be tough, just like a maiden is.
Yeah, so that's where I'm probably going to have to place him better. Always wanted to get that city novice and get that thrill for the owners, and it's worth good money, these city novices. Don't have to run much of time. I'll probably drop back to provincial novices now, just to keep him. I don't want to crush him now and put him in the city novices. They can still run pretty hot time. So I'll probably just put him back to provincial, and hopefully he just improves a few more lengths, and then he should pick up both of them pretty quickly, I would think. But like I said, I'm pretty keen to get him back to Mandurah for their novices. That would be really handy.
How's it been not being able to use the Mandurah track with these young greyhounds? Have you found it difficult?
For myself, I have, because I've got a lot of Mandurah dogs and 400-metre dogs that don't suit the quarter start at all. So it's been difficult for my team, but we've got through and it's not far away now. So really looking forward to getting down there, and it is hard. Some dogs have found I've got a few more injuries than I normally have, but that happens. So we'll keep pushing through.
Lewis, how are the rest of the dogs going in the kennels? Congratulations, of course, with Erasmus Duke taking out the win. Are there any others that we should be following, or any other tips for the punters with upcoming races?
As soon as Mandurah opens, probably follow the team. Probably at the moment, just Corborn Roses is running really well. She had a week off this week, and we're freshening up before the 600-metre heats in 2 weeks, so she's probably one to keep an eye on. She's racing really, really well. Who I got in on Friday night? There's probably one. I don't know. Kenya Refine. She won a novice two starts ago. She's racing quite well, and she probably win her country grade 5s pretty quickly. So she might be one to follow in the next couple of weeks.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Lewis, and congratulations again to the Chase the Dream winners there with Erasmus Duke, and we look forward to following along with his journey. Thanks for coming on the show, Lewis.
Thank you very much.
Lewis Clay joining us, and the Dream Chasers Syndicate. Of course, that's the second of the owners only syndicate, Leia, that you've been involved with, and you know how excited it is for these young people, and some not so young that are first-time owners of greyhounds. So congratulations to them. They'll certainly be on cloud 9 for a long period of time. Looking forward to seeing where he goes next. Chasing today comes up from Northam, and then of course later in the week we've got chasing tomorrow night and also Wednesday night back at Cannington. I did speak with Graham O'Dea, Chief Steward, over the weekend, and he has inspected the track at Mandurah. There'll be another inspection, I believe, in a couple of weeks. So we're getting closer to the return to Mandurah as well. So that'll be really good, as you heard from Lewis there, Leia, for the greyhound trainers to have another facility that they'll be able to work their greyhounds on.
So will Mandurah be running on time as scheduled, Pete, at the end of October, beginning of November?
It's been handed over last week to the Greyhounds WA staff, so they'll have to now prepare the track. Once it's been prepared, it'll be inspected again by the Integrity Department, and then we'll start seeing some trials. So I'm not sure how many weeks of trials we'll have, but I would hope that by the end of October, if not early November, we'll see greyhound racing recommence back down there at Mandurah.
Wonderful, and thank you for your company on Greyhound Gossip, Pete. We'll take a quick break before we get into race day.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelpline.org.au.